Critical EDH, a mattress for a better world. We did it, guys.
Got there. We found the mattress pun.
We found a way to communicate very quickly to our viewers how tired, very, very tired all of us are.
Critical EDH Sleepy Edition.
2 hours is good enough. 2 hours is good enough.
Yeah.
Critical EDH, 2 EB, too few points to get to top 16. Too soon. Oh man, it was so we were able to get about 3.5, 4-ish hours of sleep before we had to fly out.
Yeah, our flight was at 4. Well, we had to be up at 4, return the car, put gas in the car. One of the gas stations closed.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah, that was super weird.
Yeah.
Apparently, we weren't a part of this, but LobbyCon continued all the way into the airport.
Yeah, they left at they went to the airport at midnight, and then they just gave.
Max and his crew, went to the airport.
They left the hotel because apparently we got kicked out.
It was, that is true. They did get kicked out of the lobby multiple times.
turns out playing CDH and being loud 3 days in a row, people get tired of it.
There's a number on the night manager.
Yeah, I felt really bad for him. It was funny talking to Jacob though. Getting onto the plane, he was like, "Those are 4 of the worst games I've ever played. I don't even know what happened."
I was like, "Bro, you made a lot of good plays, learned a lot, right?" He's like, "No."
How did you all lose?
All 4 of you lost? That's crazy.
So definitely tired. I think we're all really ready to be home, but I think overall the vibes are still pretty good. I think we're excited. We're kind of talking about down the road, getting excited about the Heisenberg, going to Albuquerque, making some loose plans.
Yeah. I was supposed to go to the Manival this weekend, but I was kind of doing it solo because it's a lot just to do 2 events, and then I'm sitting in bed last night. I'm like, there's no way. I would love to, but I'll have to catch the next one. I'm gonna drop for that one. It's just too much.
Yeah. I mean, it had a long wait list, so you're probably giving someone a good chance.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it's going to fill up just fine.
Gonna make someone's day. So I know we're all probably a little groggy. And while we haven't had a lot of time to maybe physically recover, I'm sure we all could use a huge nap. We are, almost 12, 18 hours post tournament. Now you guys have kind of had some more time to reflect on it. What are some of the big takeaways from your first big tourney?
I think the number one most important thing, and I'm sure you guys will talk about this in the future, is how tournaments are ran now that games are going incredibly long. We had one game, round 6.
Jay, do you want to pull up the times on that?
Yeah.
Round 6, I remember, was around 80 something.
Yeah, each of the rounds going into time got progressively longer. Yeah, you can just list off the times from round 1 to round.
I'll look it up while
round 6, because round 7 is when they started implementing a hard time. They didn't implement.
It was too late.
It was too late. Right, it was too late because that previous round took up so much of the time for the tournament.
Yeah.
So they had implement a hard time at top 16 and top 4.
Eric and I pulled off an interview, and then in between rounds, and then we were kind of looking and seeing if if they were done or getting close, and then someone walked out of the venue and goes they're not even close, and we're okay, so we pulled another interview. That one was a little bit longer, and then we're hear noise from the venue, and then they're no, the stack is 48 spells longer now. We're okay, so we did one more.
Yeah, so round 1 went 23 minutes over, round 2 went 28 minutes, round 3 was 32, round 4 was 33, round 5 was 49, round 6 was 80, and then round 7 was 33.
Are you noticing a pattern?
Every single round in that tournament went way over time.
Progressively longer each time until round 6, where we hit the breaking point.
Yeah, so that means if we want to combine all those times together, right? That's what 3 extra rounds, quote unquote, of round times worth of CDH games.
Pretty close.
Yeah, this round 6 overtime was a round on its own,
which is just crazy. I mean, most of the time there were only 1 or 2 pods firing right up until the very end of that, but almost every pod went overtime almost every time. So, you know, one of the things I've been trying to figure out is ways to kind of like extend the endurance of like critical thinking skills and focus and energy management in tournaments. Because I thought it was just going to be like kind of like a beginner skill of like, you know, oh, once I get a tournament or two underneath my feet, I'll just kind of like get used to the rhythm of it.
It actually just gets harder.
It seems like even, you know, like comedian or all the people who've been to a ton of tournaments, they just looked exhausted and fatigued a ton of the time. Just because, you know, especially when you're playing at that high of a level, you have to be like, you know, just focusing so much for so long.
And you win games and you're starting to compete against other people at the same level, or at least in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're staying in the higher levels of the bracket, and you're like really just put through the ringer with all the interactions and the politics, and I enjoy all that. But at some point, like, this is my first 2-day tournament. Day 2, like round 6 and 7, I was like really feeling it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I almost wish we just do 6 rounds or something on day 1, and then you wake up knowing what your standings are day 2, and you go, okay, well, day 2 is top 16 or top cut, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then simultaneously, it's like, okay, we're firing in a redemption event. However many people want to sign up, we'll do 3 rounds, whatever, and then run the redemption event at the same time.
Yeah.
And then like have day 2 be it's top 16, and because then you're on time and you're like, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. But throwing 2 rounds of Swiss in day 2 just feels bad. Like I didn't like that feeling.
Yeah, we all okay. Well, I'll stick with I statements. I woke up Sunday like exhausted.
My dumbass thought if I went to sleep and then I got some rest, I would feel better.
No, it doesn't matter.
No. I mean, I'm sure it would have been worse if we'd gotten no sleep. But I mean, we still got it. I think we all got a solid like 6 or 7 hours. You know, which isn't as much as you normally want to sleep, but it's pretty good for a tournament setting. Like we got a good breakfast. You know, we were drinking a lot of water. You know, I think between the 4 of us, we were doing a really good job of, you know, just kind of chatting, joking around, keeping energy levels up the best we could. But even still, I think all of us that morning were like, I do not want to play Magic ever again.
And then we came back and played Magic.
We came back and played Magic like all day.
But it was fun because like I think the LobbyCon was, I didn't really know what to expect because I've never really played at tournaments where people were staying in like a hotel and like playing in the lobby or whatever. But that was so awesome. I didn't have any expectations. I was completely blown away. And just the casualness of it, and everyone switching around trying to play with people that they're just meeting, or trying to play with their favorite like CDH mini celeb or whatever, and like that was so cool.
Yeah.
We got to catch a game with a comedian last night.
Super fun.
He just like wandered over and he's like, hand me a deck.
And of course he won. It was so fun getting to play with him. And you're right. I think looking back on it, I think just while the tournament was the reason to go, stuff like LobbyCon or you know, going to like out to eat with people or just getting to like interview and hang out with like so much of the CDH community is what makes me want to come back.
And then those are the things that I'm going to remember and kind of value from our trip. So people talk about the gathering part of it, and like it's true. It's I mean, you go to be with friends and make new friends. I made a bunch of new friends, and people talking to me about Glarb or this or that, or talking about the channel, and getting to introduce you guys, like my friends, to be like, hey, you should meet these people. These
it was pretty cool because I like, you know, there's obviously like pretty prolific names in the CDH community.
Yeah.
And you never really think like, you know, I never really thought that I'd get to meet, you know, people like Comedian or like all these other, you know, like Freedom Waffle.
Did you play in a game with Wounded and you didn't know who he was?
I didn't know until after the round. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, he was.
He definitely has a reputation. For better or worse.
Once you said it started to put it together. But I mean, at least in my round, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, he walked up to us, he was talking to us, he was super nice.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't get to play any games with him or anything, but like, you know, you hear stories or whatever, but you know, people are just people. Like, for better or worse, they're who they are. They have personalities. You know.
Like, he was playing in the lobby with us basically the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, he's a really good player, but also just like all of us, he's just a guy.
Like, I'm just glad that I have a story that's behind the strange Korean ancient tomb that's now sitting in my CD. That is just oops. I accidentally spent 200 cards on a magic card.
$200.
$200 on a magic card. It's like, oh, I had just like little things like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to buy this. Like, I'm gonna go to Dom. Like, hey, what do you think about this? It's like, he's like, I don't know. Like, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Logan. Who's like the worst person to check it.
This is before rounds.
Yeah.
Before we started anything.
Literally like 10 minutes before.
I'm like getting my deck together, like swapping some cards from Rog's side to Glarb, because I was like, oh, I have some nicer cards. Like, I'll switch them over. I'm finishing this, and Jay comes over and he goes, hey, I need you to like evaluate something for me. He's like, I'm gonna make a bad decision, or I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just gonna say yes. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna say you should buy it. I don't, and we walk over to the vendor, and he goes, there's a Korean ancient tomb. I'm like, yeah, is it like less than $400? Yeah, you should probably buy it, because you're Korean, and it's like, it's hard to get that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my god, Logan, like, I literally asked you this, like, because I literally prefaced this by saying, I need you to talk me out of this, and you can't say yes, like, off the bat.
But when you saw it 6 or 7 times during rounds, like, it came up, and, you know, you have to think about those cards, and
Yeah.
it sounds so weird to be, like, sentimental over, like, cardboard, but I think it's cool.
Well, like, yeah, like, if I like went there alone, like, this card would just be like a $200 like hole in my pocket. But
Yeah.
there's like the story behind
You know,
it, that and like the Mystic Remora and the Dark Ritual I got signed. Like, those things have like stories besides like I had this card and I have too much disposable income.
I think we're all fans of the hobby, right? Like we just all took time off and spent a ton of money to go play a ton of Magic over the whole weekend. And so just the game itself, I think is worth playing. But also, like, in addition to that, I don't know what you're talking about, Logan, like the gathering aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be able to give back or contribute or kind of feed into what makes it such a great hobby is so fun. And I know that, like, every time, you know, I'm going to pull out Blue Farm, I'm going to think, you know, at least a little bit about this tournament, or, you know, the one practice game I got to play with, you know, Dom, or, you know, just hanging out with people in the lobby or whatever. And I think it's just such a privilege to be a part of such an incredible community.
I'm like, I keep thinking about the practice we had on like Friday when we got in, and how much that like helped me put my mind right for the tournament.
Yep.
And I'm like, why don't we just do this all the time? So I think we should spend, you know, when we meet on Wednesdays or whatever, spend some actual like legit time practicing.
I think because it was so beneficial too, I think it'd be probably in your guys' best interest to, you know, maybe do a structured future episode on the practice tips that you do, because we kind of like off the cuff on the way to Sonic, right? Like in the drive-through kind of came up with these ideas.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, kind of having that team mentality where it's like we're all helping each other because we want to represent our scene, right?
Yeah.
And we want to do the best. And then also kind of gauging everybody's perspective on a hand, because there's lots of different takeaways you can take from a mulligan.
Speaking of representing our scene, Denver, we gotta do better than all getting 12 points and then not making top cut.
We got top 4.
Hey, not all of us.
Not all of us.
I got 9. Thank you.
Pigeon did really well. He top 4'd on Rock Thrash.
Rock Thrash list looks incredible.
Yep, Tyler got 19th, which was really awesome.
Yep. And I mean, Dom, you did pretty well too.
Yeah, I got 28.
Yeah, 28.
That's pretty good.
I didn't drop a game, which was cool.
Undefeated.
I didn't.
People's champion.
Actually, the crazy thing is, if I'd won one of those games, I would have been in 3rd place ranking wise, because my opponent win percentage was
really
like the
high.
2nd highest in the entire bracket.
Yeah, I had a good opponent win percentage in 12, and then if I had just won a single game out of round 6 and 7, that would have been it.
Yeah.
I would have made the top cut, but yeah, I mean, it's just like sometimes it doesn't happen, and like I'm not too miffed about it. I think I performed well, and I was playing out of my mind both days. Like I think I played really well.
Yeah. I think that's like a general sentiment. Like I feel like all of us played really well, but it did feel like some factors were just out of your control. Like, and it's what it is. Like Magic is a high variance game. CDH is a high variance format, and sometimes you just don't get there.
Yeah. And sometimes you get high variance players.
Yep.
Yes,
and then it becomes a really great story of a really painful time.
Yeah, and like I made some comments about it on Twitter about like the one round, and like I am pissed off about it, but like I'm not gonna dwell on it. It's you know, it is what it is, and I could have made so many decisions earlier in the day that would have gotten me more points or another win. That like I'm not stooping to saying that like, well, I didn't get in the top 16 because I didn't win that game. Then that's not the case. Like I could have. There's so many things I could have done differently as a player to perform better. So it's not that big of a deal. But you know.
I mean, I will admit that after that tournament, after day 2, I played like one game with Logan, and I just felt like I have nothing more to give right now. Like,
yeah,
all my like Magic energy is like completely drained. Like, I've never felt this way. Like, this was like my first day. This is all our first day 2 experience. Like, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can like play any games for like a really long time. I need to like take time to like recharge.
But then he immedially starts building the most egregious escrow pile you've ever seen. Brainstorming.
Look, brewing is playing.
I said playing.
Brewing and playing are not the same.
I'm free to cook up whatever heinous nonsense.
Jesse, it's time to cook.
We need to cook.
Holy, look at this car. What are you doing? You gonna take your half out of the middle or what?
All right, buddy.
Well, we're almost to the breakfast place, and all I know is...
And by breakfast, you mean banh mi, which is kind of a, like...
Oh, is it more of a lunch place?
Strange...
Hey,
Well,
in Vietnam, noodles
you
are
just gonna eat whatever
Let's
for
go.
breakfast. Vietnamese food.
Are we going to play a game while we're eating?
Please no.
My deck is staying in my bag, and it's not
Viet
leaving.
Cong? No.
I'm a Gundam player now.
Hey, I heard Flesh and Blood's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm bringing the inside of my eyelids to this tournament.
Dude, okay, so we get back to the hotel, and I look in the suitcase, and what is in the suitcase but a box of like sealed Flesh and Blood cards?
Yo, that's sick. Can I have it?
Why do you want that? I won't screw it out. You put us overweight.
Sounds pretty cool.
He put us overweight. Okay, buddy.
Yep.
Well, anyways, dude, thank you guys so much for, all the memories, all the great times, and thank you guys for watching along and, giving us the opportunity to be a part of this. It was super awesome.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap pretty much our coverage for this tournament, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and maybe you'll see us next time at the next one.
Yep, that's the end of Road to Fishbowl Part 2. Pew!